You enter the room and your cockatiel notices before anything else. It does not have to fly away to show fear. Sometimes, fear appears in a body that simply becomes rigid. The crest rises. The feet grip the perch more tightly. The eyes follow your hands. You approach slowly, and your bird leans back. That tiny movement is a complete answer. It is saying, I still do not know what you are going to do. And most owners try to solve this by moving even closer. But trust begins when you do exactly the opposite. You stop. You do not force touch. You do not demand a step up. And something interesting happens when your cockatiel realizes that its signal worked. The body may still be tense, but escape no longer feels as urgent. Your bird learns one important thing about you. You notice when it asks for space. And that changes everything because fear begins to decrease when the animal gets some control back. This is not affection yet. It is predictability. And predictability is the first building block of trust. Over the next few days, you repeat the same calm behavior. You change the water without chasing your bird. You place food nearby without invading its body space. You speak softly. You move your hands slowly. And your cockatiel begins studying a pattern. You arrive. Things happen. Nothing terrible follows. Its eyes may still track you, but not with the same urgency. The crest may become less rigid. The body may start to look slightly rounder. Maybe your bird stays on the same perch when you walk by. That seems small, but before, every step you took forced your cockatiel to make a decision about escape. Now, not every movement requires a reaction. Its brain is spending less energy on vigilance because you are becoming predictable, and for a prey animal, predictability can start to feel a lot like safety. But an even more important moment is coming. The moment when your cockatiel stops merely tolerating you and begins choosing to stay. Watch what happens when your hand enters its field of vision. At first, your bird may move away. After some time, it may simply look. Later, it may not even interrupt what it is doing. That sequence tells a story. Your cockatiel has not forgotten that your hand exists. It has learned that not every movement of your hand means danger. You begin to see less freezing, less stretching the body away, less urgency to create distance, and new movements appear. A curious head tilt, one step toward you, a look that lasts a second longer. Maybe your cockatiel accepts a seed without immediately retreating. Maybe it stays nearby after taking it. That matters because trust is not just taking the reward. Trust is what your bird chooses to do afterward. And now, the relationship is beginning to change for real. One day, your cockatiel does something you did not ask for. It approaches you. Not because you pushed your hand closer. Not because the food was too far away. It simply reduces the distance on its own. This is one of the easiest moments to miss. You may think it was accidental, but voluntary choice is a powerful language. Your bird could have stayed where it was, and it chose to come closer. Maybe it walks along the perch. Maybe it stretches its neck toward you. Maybe it lands on the back of the chair beside you. None of this looks dramatic, but emotionally it is enormous. Because now your cockatiel is no longer simply enduring your presence. It is beginning to use your presence as a reference point, as company. And this is where the turning point happens, the one many owners never notice. Your cockatiel is not passive in this relationship. It is making decisions about you too. It tests distance. It watches your response. It remembers what happens when it says no. And it notices what happens when it says yes. When you respect both, trust grows faster. Your cockatiel may begin looking for you with its eyes. It may move to another perch when you sit nearby. It may respond to your voice without becoming startled. It may tilt its head when you speak. These behaviors are not submission. They are participation. Your bird is entering the interaction because it wants to. And that is very different from simply not flying away. Fear is no longer controlling every second. Now, there is curiosity. There is expectation. And little by little, there is choice. You begin to realize that your cockatiel is building the relationship too. Then the quieter signs begin to appear. You walk nearby and your bird keeps eating. You sit beside it and it starts preening. You shift your position and its body does not suddenly stiffen. Maybe it rests on one foot. Maybe it lowers its head. Maybe its eyelids become heavy for a few seconds. These moments may seem less important than stepping onto your hand, but they can tell you much more. Because a relaxed bird is giving up part of its vigilance. It does not need to monitor you every second. It is almost as if its body is saying, I can focus on something else while you are here. That is practical trust. It does not depend on tricks. It does not depend on petting. It does not depend on rewards. It depends on the feeling that your presence does not require defense. And when this appears, the entire environment seems to change. You stop being an unpredictable event and begin becoming part of what makes the space feel safe. Now watch the step up. Before, your hand may have looked like a wall moving toward your cockatiel. Later, it may begin to look more like a bridge. The difference is not in your hand. It is in the history your bird has built around it. If your hand respected refusals, it became more predictable. If it brought food, safety, and a calm return to the perch, it gained a different meaning. One day, one foot comes up, then the other, and your cockatiel stays. Not because it was cornered, but because it chose to use you as support. That detail changes the entire scene. Stepping onto your hand is not the proof by itself. The stronger proof is that your bird could leave and still chooses to remain. It has options. It does not need to escape. It can relax while it is close to you. This is the point where fear begins turning into a real bond. And you realize that patience built something force never could. But trust does not mean fear disappears forever. A new sound can still startle your cockatiel. A fast hand movement can still make it lean away. An unfamiliar object can still raise the crest. And none of that erases the bond. Trust does not turn your cockatiel into an animal without caution. It changes how your bird recovers. After a scare, it looks around the room, and often it looks toward you. Your presence may become part of the recovery itself. Maybe your cockatiel does not fly as far away. Maybe it returns to the perch more quickly. Maybe it begins relaxing when it hears your voice. That return to balance is easy to overlook, but it reveals something important. You are no longer just another possible threat. You have become a familiar signal that things are normal. And that is a profound transformation, because real trust is not the absence of fear. It is knowing where safety can be found when fear appears. And your cockatiel may now be finding some of that safety in you. So what changes when your cockatiel finally stops being afraid of you? Almost everything, but in very small ways. The body becomes less narrow. The crest stops reacting to every movement. The feet grip the perch less tightly. The eyes stop tracking every gesture you make. Your cockatiel eats while you are nearby. It preens while you talk. It can rest without constantly watching your hands. It may approach without being invited. It may step onto you and then choose to stay. And maybe the most beautiful change is this. Your cockatiel begins showing you who it really is when it is no longer busy defending itself. Curious, playful, stubborn, affectionate in its own way. You did not create a new personality. You simply made the environment safe enough for that personality to appear. So, do not look for one magical gesture. Look for the change in the whole pattern. Less defense, more choice. And tell me in the comments, what was the first behavior that showed you your cockatiel finally trusted you?